All right, it's the Jeff Dubay Show. Rolling into week number, whatever the hell it is. I've just stopped counting. I think it's week 6. And again, for all you haters, that's week with 2 E's, not an E and an A. Yeah, all of those out there who do it with the E and an A, suck it. This is W-E-E-K, number 6. I think it's number 6. I don't know. We are live, as always, at the Devil's Advocate, 10th and Marquette. We're on 10th, right between Marquette and Nicollet. If you're looking for a landmark, we're around the corner from the local. Although I should really stop naming other bars in our promotional messages about the Devil's Advocate, shouldn't I?
Well, unless if your future is to do it forever here, which we'd be glad to if they'd have us, I think you should probably knock that off. If we're not, local, how you doing? No, I'm just kidding.
It is a Monday, so we've got a weekend of football to talk about. We've got a World Series to look forward to, many things to get to. But it starts on a personal note because the guest today is somebody who I spent a very enjoyable year working with over at Hubbard. And he was let go in the same wave of budget cuts as me. That would be Patrick Hammer, the erstwhile meteorologist from Channel 5 and Channel 45. What's up, Patrick?
Good to see you guys.
What does erstwhile mean?
Yeah, I don't know, but it sounds so educated.
I classed it up, didn't I?
It's like having a British accent. It just sounds smart.
Seriously.
So use it.
Yeah.
Just use it.
I'm not sure how funny Monty Python really is, but I laughed
Didn't
my
you
ass
ever
off.
watch Faulty Towers or some of the old Monty Python
One of my
stuff?
favorite moments in the history of comedy, and comedy's a pretty broad scope, one of my favorite moments ever in comedy was the guy saying, "It's only a flesh wound." He's got no arms.
The Holy Grail.
He's got no arms.
Yeah.
He's hopping on one leg.
I think I'll go for a walk now.
That's a gutty guy.
I'll take another.
Okay, yeah, we do need another Widowmaker for my producer, Jason. I don't know what you're drinking. Wine? Are you drinking wine there, Mr. San Francisco?
I'm a sophisticate.
You are. Well, Hammer's a West Coast guy, for those who don't know. He came here from California. He went to the University of Southern California, so he is a Trojan. And evidence that he doesn't always wear them. To my right, he's got 2 children. Two children that he brought with him, Francesca and William.
Yeah,
did you see that coming? Did you see that connection?
That's the brilliance that is Jeff Dubay, though.
The USC, I don't always wear a Trojan, Patrick Hammer.
There we go.
But we got a couple of kids. They're watching Spy Kids and eating fries.
They are.
That's Devil's Advocate.
This is a win for them.
That's a win for us.
A total win. And then 3 cherries in their Shirley Temple.
It's good to be a Hammer. It's good to be a Dubay on this day, at least to be this one. Jason McGovern, the producer of Mischke fame, to my left. And just to open the show with a bit of irony, three Hubbard cast-offs. Since we become part of the iHeartRadio family, in the next 24 hours, this podcast that you are a part of right now will have more listens / downloads than anything available on demand at 1500 AM ESPN. We will outdo Garage Logic, and I don't want to name them by name. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but we will. We will have more downloads / listens in the next 24 hours than anything available on demand on the 1500 website or phone app. And those are friends of mine. I'm kind of talking shit, but not really. I've got kids here. And I got
Listen. They don't. You remember that show? What was it? Old School when he would always go
earmuffs?
Yes,
earmuffs.
The best ever.
They are
Cock
so
balls.
used to
best-
locker
it's one
room
of the best-
talk. It's
They've already
fine.
blocked
Yeah, they get
out.
it. They get it, Frank. They get it.
It's fine. It's fine.
I will say they look like they have zero interest in what we're up to.
Well, they're the only ones.
World.
They're the
No,
only
yeah.
ones.
The
Get
under
on board.
12 crowd we're not
Francesca,
doing so well
William,
with.
Get on board. Subscribe, iTunes, iHeartRadio.
They are just as content as could be.
But those are world-class fries. I mean, those are phenomenal
fries,
fries.
yeah.
I think I'll do it.
That's part of what we got going on here at Devil's Advocate. Now, I have, what we do tout here, as we should, the 40 craft beers on tap. I mean, it's a microbrew paradise, is what it is. And they ship stuff in from all over the country. A lot of it comes from Colorado, I do believe. But I mean, it's basically a clearinghouse of some of the best microbrews in the country. Am I wrong about that, Jason?
I love microbrews. You know what I learned?
But you're drinking wine.
I was wondering why you were
that's what I was
drinking wine
getting
at the
to.
beer bar.
Well,
I've got my kids settled finally. It's just kind of
Patrick time.
every time at 5 o'clock.
it's hammer time.
It's hammer
How
time.
did I miss
Hammer
the
time.
line?
Oh,
How
you
did I
did.
miss the line?
That was like
Stop. Yeah, it's hammer
Joe
time.
Nathan.
Oh my God, I missed it.
Joe Nathan in a save situation softball set
an
right
idiot.
up for you,
I mean,
and you didn't even get it.
I've been thinking of slowly but surely turning into just a very mentally challenged individual, and that just cinched it. That I called it Patrick time instead of hammer time.
Patrick time.
Oh my God, what a moron!
You know what is one of the healthiest? By the way, I didn't know this until recently. You know, a Guinness is one of the healthiest beers you can drink.
Well, it's more like
one of the
food
most
than
fat.
beer.
But it's got a very low caloric intake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fabulous beer for you.
And it's not strong either. People
No.
think that it's strong because it's dark. Dark does not mean
fabulous in the
I've
morning.
been a big Guinness fan. I'm also a Boddington's fan, but I recently saw an article online, and I believe everything I read online.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, for those who've listened to me on the radio over the years, you know my rule of thumb is I believe everything I read because it takes the judgment out of it. I mean, I don't want to lament things. I just buy in. So anyway, the article was the 10 least healthy beers, and basically they were the Budweisers, Mikkeln Lights, and Miller Lights because they use genetically altered corn. I mean, genetically altered. So like you could turn into the Hulk in the middle of the night. You could turn into this like Spider-Man or something if you drink the wrong combination.
Your shirt's ripping and you're turning green.
Yeah,
you had a Miller Lite.
So, I mean, maybe this is why there's so many fights in college parties and riots on college campuses because they're all drinking Bud Light and Mikkeln Lights, and they're all mutating because of this genetically altered corn. They're all becoming supervillains.
If they all had a Guinness, they'd all be hugging each other like any good Irish bar. That's what you do. You hug.
Well, yeah, no, the Irish never get drunk and fight. No.
Never.
I have been downtown all day today. We're going to talk about the weekend that was. The Vikings lose literally last second.
Do we have to talk
Buffalo?
about that?
Well, we'll talk about it briefly. The Gophers, on the other hand, find life. They say victory from the jaws of defeat in a game that I was just in shock watching every second of it. I know you were there because I saw you tweet a picture from the sun-soaked.
Well, well, first of all, can I add, given that I'm a meteorologist, a little weather footnote to that game?
Yeah.
There was a cold front that literally went down the middle of the field, and this is what I mean. And those of you that were there, that shadow was I'm surprised some big storm didn't happen midfield.
Makes all the difference.
The shadow was frigid.
You want to be on the sunny side of the field.
Other side, we were literally looking to put the
Sunny
umbrellas
street,
in our tropical drinks. It was incredible.
That is
how
correct.
different either side was.
I have noticed that. I've experienced that firsthand. It is quite a difference.
But it was a fun. Gosh, it was fun.
It was insane.
When we went into halftime, you're thinking, how are we losing this game? Given how some of the play calls that we are and the ref calls. That
you want to know how? You want to know how? Because the week before, I referred to Tracy Claeys as a defensive genius and one of the great defensive minds of college football. So of course they're going to go out and have the worst defensive game.
You were the first person I brought up when I was talking to somebody during that game. Dubay was touting this defense.
Well, Tracy Claeys is a fantastic coach. And we sat here with Jim Souhan after the Northwestern game. Was it a week ago that he was here?
I think so, yeah.
A week or two, whatever it was. You got big shoes to fill. Let's put it that way, Hammer. The Monday show was really spiked with Souhan here last week. And I
love that man.
I do too.
Even though he dissed me on the radio once.
Only once?
I'm sure more than once. I'm sure more than once. And if you haven't been,
I offered him a chance to play at the Olympic Club in San Francisco because I'm still a member there.
Oh God, you're a big shot. I forgot you come from money.
And he goes,
he comes from money.
No. I've been unemployed for 9 months. It's
I didn't say you haven't. I said you come from There's a big difference.
Passed. Anyway, but he said, your
kids are killing these fries.
I know.
My God, there's a lot of fries.
My wife is just going to kill me.
William, you rule.
Wait, did they have broccoli and Brussels sprouts? No, they had Shirley Temple's Skittles.
Does your wife listen to podcasts?
Well, I'm sure she's hovering somewhere without me knowing, behind some.
That's what they do.
Some chair.
That's what they do. But Tracy Claeys, I think, is an elite defensive mind. I think he's a fantastic coach. He's somebody who we all know stepped into the breach last year when Kill went out for a few weeks. This must be the new promotion.
That is.
What's her name? I got to look it up. Oh, God, I'm such an idiot.
She just ran to the ladies' room. So apparently she took a look at this motley crew and said, I got to get out of here.
I'll figure it out. Anyway, he stepped in and did the interim head coach thing last year, kept the season from falling apart. Not just him. I mean, his entire coaching staff pulled together, and they all deserve credit. He just happened to be the point man, and he handled it beautifully, brilliantly. And if you watch Gopher football, if you follow Gopher football, one thing you've seen in the last couple of years that you just have not been accustomed to for the last 40 or 50 years is defense. I mean, you're seeing some athletes on defense. You're seeing some people fly around to the football. Some big play potential. They create some turnovers. They do some things that are just atypical of Gopher football over the years. So, I mean, Tracy Claeys is the real deal. And the sequence that we talked about last week to kind of exemplify this was how they kept taking timeouts at the end of the first half. I mean, you can't take them with you to the locker rooms, burn them, but they kept using them because Northwestern is a multi-look offense. I mean, they're to me what the Gophers aspire to be offensively. The way that Northwestern's zone, spread, read, option, blah blah blah, hyphenated offense worked is I think how the Gophers would like theirs to work in its most efficient. And they give a lot of different looks and do a lot of things, and they can really hurt you a number of ways. That's I thought last week was a really a crowning jewel, or a jewel in Tracy Claeys' defensive crown. But that sequence at the end of the half where we held them to a field goal, we kept watching them set up and burn timeouts. They'd set up again, we'd burn another timeout. And I said to Jim, that was brilliant because you're getting one of the great defensive minds of the Big Ten, if not in all of college football, sitting there, playing a chess match again. I'll take Tracy Claeys against anybody in that. And sure enough, eventually, Tracy Claeys won out on that battle, and then they held him to a field goal, and they went on to win the game. Last week, we were seeing people go for 50, 60 yards without anybody in the screen, and I'm talking 50-inch high-def widescreen screen, not the old tube TV dimensions. I mean, we're seeing people run free. I mean, free and clear with nobody.
Right.
I mean, whether it's a bubble screen or a little end around or even a draw play, it's like there's supposed to be some people with maroon jerseys within the area code.
It looks like they're playing 8 guys.
It was bizarre. It was absolutely bizarre.
But did you like how they're down 11 at halftime, and then we come back?
Katie? Hi, Katie. We'll get to you when we're ready.
So much traffic.
Sorry. No, don't worry about it. I'm talking to Hammer. Go ahead, Hammer. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Two deep passes that Leitner made literally back-to-back or within 2 drives.
You're talking about KJ May, the big one in the third?
There were 2 of them to the same, literally the same. It was like a post pattern.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like...
Oh, yeah, the one down the middle where he fell.
Right, but we don't see those deep pass, stretch the field type of plays from the Gophers.
Well, if you do, the throw is off by 5 yards.
Right, and that crowd died for a little while. I'm sorry, when the second half started, then those plays happened, and it was explosive.
They were down by 2 scores. They were down by 2 scores at the half, and they had never won a game under Jerry Kill.
22
where they trailed at halftime. Right. So I was not feeling optimistic, and the way the defense was getting shredded just made me think. I mean, I could understand a little bit of an emotional letdown because you had the wins over Michigan and Northwestern, and this was the game that you would look past a little bit. This was the softest conference game on your schedule. A home game against Purdue. This was the softest game on your schedule.
And they were favored by 12, right?
And I mean, you could argue maybe at Illinois, but I mean, this is a home game. So if there's a game that you're going to look past a little bit or have a little hangover, this would be it. But 31 points from against what I think is at least a decent, slightly above average at worst defense. 31 points and a half. Bizarre. And then, of course, they held him to 7 in the second half. But, I mean...
That's incredible.
And to potentially lose the game on a illegal formation on an extra point attempt, that would have been gut-wrenching. That would have been ball-ripping. I mean, that would have been just nut-cutting.
That's almost 12 men on the field,
for an extra point.
New Orleans.
And Santa Rosa, or whatever his name is, I always mess his name up. Santorini, Santa Rosa, whatever his name is, this kicker with the big leg.
I'm sure he likes red wine with that kind of thing. He
had obviously a great moment with a 51-yard kick to win it.
And he could have been 61. He nailed that.
And thankfully, he was kicking into the closed end. I'm telling you, it's a different ball game kicking into that stadium. It's absolutely a different game. Not taking anything away from the kid. I mean, he nailed it. But he had 2 really crazy moments in this game. The first being the missed extra point after the penalty, because he just looked like he went up there and just kind of pooched at it. He didn't really kick at it. Did you see that?
Well, it's like we go for 2, we don't get it. We get the penalty, and then we go for 1. And we're like, what just happened?
Well, going for 2 in the second that was the second moment where I mean, when you're lined up for an extra point or a field goal, they got the end zone camera, so you're seeing everything from behind. You're not seeing it from the traditional sideline. I see a hole open up that Patrick Hammer could rumble through, and I'm thinking, boy, this was a good. I was in the third quarter. I typically don't go for 2, but when I see this unfold and how caught off guard Penn State is, and how open this play is, I'm thinking, brilliant. Then I see the least athletic man on the team just kind of saunter into a hole and get killed. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Could you find anybody else to run this? You let the holder run. The holder just kept it and run. This guy, this kicker, he was not game for that play. He just, it was there. Hammer, you would have scored.
Hold on. Before you knock me on my football acumen, I do come. That's another big word, SAT word.
You're not
I do come from a little pedigree. My grandfather was an All-American running back for Stanford.
Really?
Went to go play for the Packers in 1942.
Oh, okay.
Back when you didn't make any money.
Yeah.
Did
he play for Curly Lambeau?
Did
he play for? What was the Curly Lambeau
no,
era?
No, it was. Who was it? No.
Oh, who cares? Move on.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, point is,
if it's not Curly Lambeau, I don't care.
Attack me on my baseball skills, golfing skills. Not that I ever played football. However, it's in my genes. So if you were to say even
your
Patrick could have, well, I didn't before, and I got 2 7 and 8 year
old. Oh man,
really
the no Trojan.
Yeah, exactly the no Trojan, Trojanless Trojan.
Jeff,
Patrick Hammer.
I want to get your take on this. That you talk about the defensive coordinator. I think that there's 2 things about this team that you're seeing that I haven't seen maybe in my lifetime. You have a defensive coordinator that when you're getting your ass kicked in the first half comes back and changes things, and you can adjust in the second half, which I think is huge and we never have.
Awesome. Yeah.
And also the fact that, and he came out and said it, that he had kids out there that weren't playing. They were not playing. They did take a week off, and I don't think we've had a Gophers team in a long time that's been good enough to even have players think we can take a week off. So I think those are 2 really good things, actually.
And I think Jerry Kill Again, I think he's the perfect guy for this job. I think he's a very good college football coach. He's the kind of guy you have to have at Minnesota because he's not going to. You're not going to recruit blue chippers to this program, at least not initially. But he's the kind of guy who doesn't need to. He's the kind of guy who will find some athletes that fit what he wants to do and teach them how to do it. And he does that extremely well. But he's for a guy who's like 4 feet tall and kind of, he's not the most imposing physical figure. He can peel paint off walls. I mean, when he gets worked up, he can peel paint off.
He's got the map of Ireland on his face. He's got that red.
Well, let's not make fun of his physical condition.
No,
we get in trouble for that.
No, I love the man.
I know.
I love him from
too.
his very first press conference where he talked about even how he has a fairly attractive life, and he's like, God, did I marry up?
Well,
that's when he got.
He said that he was the Gophers' third choice. He said, well, that's not the first time. I was my wife's third choice, too.
Right, that's what it was.
Something like that.
And it was just fantastic, and I fell in love. And even the way he handled his press conference after this victory, when somebody mentioned you're 0-22 when you go into the second half behind, and he's like, you're the guys that keep a track of those stats, not me. He goes, I had no idea.
Well, no kidding, he's not going to keep track of that one. I bet he keeps track of the fact that he's 21-0 when he leads at halftime. I bet he's well aware of that one.
Well, I thought his press conference after the game was just it's kind of the reason why you love the guy. I don't know. He's an affable chap. And
keep talking. I got to clean the microphone condoms. The foamy rubber thing. I just spit all over the.
Well, when I was a father of younger kids, they thought that was like an ice cream cone. So whenever I was doing a live shot, and I had listen to this. I had to do a weather forecast for midfield at a Gopher game.
You did last year.
I did last year.
I was cheering for you.
And I did it 2 years ago for midfield, and I brought my son out. And there's a camera looking right up at us, and he took the mic and literally wrapped his mouth around. I'm supposed to entertain
could they hear you? Were you audible over this?
Oh, so he was just like, oh.
And this is a mic used by everyone, I'd assume,
everyone.
too. Yeah.
So he's going to have another head growing out of his shoulder, given the germs he probably got from that experience.
So the Gophers, they find a way.
Yeah.
And they, in the second half, they come to life. And you know what's weird is when they went ahead on the field goal and then they got the interception to kind of ice it, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, boy, if I'm Purdue, I'm kind of wondering, where did this get away? Because there was never a big moment where the Gophers just took it over and just destroyed them.
Right.
They just kind of crept. Right. They just kind of crept up on them.
No doubt. There was no doubt.
If I'm Purdue, I'm sitting there, the clock's ticking down. I'm on the Purdue side going, what the hell happened? How the fuck did I just lose this game?
Right.
I mean, seriously, because I don't remember any. I mean, yeah, we had a couple of big pass plays.
Kids, earmuffs.
And we had earmuffs. Cock, balls. No, I love old school. It's the best ever.
It is.
But,
it's so
I almost lost it on the board right there.
Remember Blue?
Oh,
that little guy.
You're my boy.
Oh God! Now I got to really refocus.
We were talking football, Gophers.
Yeah, I mean they opened the second half big time. So they went right down the field and scored, and instantly kind of tilted things. But we gave that one up then, didn't we? Didn't Purdue go? Didn't they score to go back up by 9 or 8 or whatever the hell?
Well, it was 11. Yeah, I think so.
So it was 31-21, 20 we scored, and then we had the kicker, make an ass of himself on the extra point and get just destroyed. Which we're lucky he didn't get hurt because we needed him for the 51-yard field goal. In which case he redeemed himself entirely. But so it was 31-26. I believe it was at one point. I know it was 38-29. So it was 31-29, then it was 38-29. That's how the scoring progression went. We're killing too much time on this. It's not that interesting.
It already happened.
We only got an hour, Jeff.
But the bottom line is the Gophers found a way. Yeah. They've got a bye week coming up, in 2 weeks? But they're at Illinois this week.
Yeah, Illinois.
I seem to know a lot of people who like Illinois. I mean, not in this game, but I mean, who went to Illinois. My buddy Illini guy. We got to get you to come down to Devil's Advocate this week. He's just an old PA debate crony. We love him to death, Illini guy.
Sure.
And of course, Lavelli Neal III is an alum.
He's
an alum. Yeah.
Love his patch.
So if Wobble wants to wobble in here, we could talk baseball playoffs and Illinois football. Maybe we'll do that next week. But of course, he's also a Bears crony, and when the Vikings
once we get into pro football, they are imploding over there in
Chicago.
They are.
Yeah, so it's not the worst time to talk Bears if you hate the Bears, I guess. But I mean, it's also just a tough time to talk anything NFC North if you're a Viking fan, which I am, and I believe. Well, I know that. At least I assume Jason is. I know.
I am.
You're a Niners guy, but you're.
I'm a Niners guy, but last night was so bad. Kaepernick looked horrible in Sunday Night Football.
They walked into a buzzsaw. You knew it was going to happen.
I know. But I'm a true Viking fan, despite my lineage in San Francisco.
Okay.
I will say that the one of the more I'm sure you watched the game.
Which game?
We're talking Vikings.
The Vikings or the Niners?
Well, the Niners was just.
Well, I watched both, so I mean,
I was happier to watch the the guys trying to keep the ball from Peyton Manning.
yeah.
That wasn't
after
that
he
funny? That was
scored
a good
the,
bit.
Great, actually.
That touchdown. That was awesome.
And I still think, for those who have not seen it, go to YouTube or Hulu or something where you can do as a video search and find Peyton Manning's mock United Way commercial that he did on Saturday Night Live a few years
Yes,
ago. It might be the funniest
it
thing
is
I've ever seen on that show. Have you seen it,
hysterical.
Jason?
I don't think I've seen that.
my
I don't
God.
think I've seen that.
I'll give you some highlights really quick.
Please.
Good, you kids got earmuffs going. That's perfect. Okay, it's like one of those United Way commercials, but it's, you know how they do mock commercials.
Yeah.
Fuzzy.
He's playing touch football in a lot with some kids, and they're all lined up, and he's in the shotgun. And you can see he's getting all serious. He's yelling out, "Red 52, say get pick on the blitz, red dog." He's getting all serious on him. Then he gets the snap, and he's yelling, "Get open!" And he throws a bullet in the back of this kid's head, and the kid just goes face first into the ground. And he goes, "Come on, catch the ball, go sit in the porta potty. I can't even look at you." And he like airs the kid out, sends him to the bathroom, and then he's like. They said, your kid will get guidance from someone like Peyton Manning. And they show him like that he's like reaching a coat hanger down into a car and going, you just pull the kid in there till you hear the click. And the guy goes, why are you doing this? I told you, I forgot my keys. And then there's a siren. He goes, cops, run. And they all like scatter. And then,
See, that doesn't sound like
it's
something
so
Manning
funny.
would do
Oh,
because his
it's
image
so
is
funny.
so clean.
Well,
but
then at the end,
maybe that's what makes it funnier, too.
Jason, at the end, they're all sitting Indian style. Or can I say that? Native American style. Cross-legged in a circle. God, I'm such an idiot. They're sitting Native American style in a circle, like he's telling them stories. And he goes, how'd you like to guys all come to my house and see my mansion? And they all get all excited. And he goes, oh, settle down. I'm just fucking with you. But they bleep it, obviously.
Right.
But it's one of the funniest Saturday Night Live bits I've ever seen. And
it's good.
He
It was
couldn't
good.
be any better in it. I mean, not to mention he's money in commercials, too. I mean,
No.
he's a funny guy.
Well, he plays a straight guy so well.
Yeah,
He's
very deadpan.
Like whenever you would
He's not as
watch
funny as
Aaron
me.
Rodgers do a commercial, it seemed
Well,
a little
but Hans and
contrived.
Franz, he's good in the Hans and Franz commercial.
Yeah,
He
but
is.
some of
But
the
he doesn't
earlier
really
ones-
do
when
anything
he
in
goes,
that.
when he goes, sorry, what?
Right. But then
I
when
think he's
Favre
pretty
would
good
do
at
the
it.
Wranglers ads, it seemed kind of creepy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well,
Peyton
yeah,
Manning with the football and tapenade. Nothing says football like something in tapenade or whatever. That was one of the greatest lines I've ever heard. I didn't even know what tapenade was. I had
He
to
did a
look
good
it up.
commercial with Jim
What
Nance
are you
last
talking
year
about?
for Sony, or was it the year before? Where he says, yeah, we got to get more out of you. You know who
Oh,
I'm sick of?
yeah.
You know who just comes off as a real hanger-on. Like somebody, I mean, I understand the world, you're trying to be commercially successful and you're spending money to do your thing. But the guy just comes off as somebody who's just got to be around the guys. I got to be around the players. I got to be one of the dudes. Is this Papa John Schnatter? He's got to go away.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead and be the title sponsor for NFL Today or whatever the hell it is. Be the NFL Fox
it's-
and go ahead and make your commercials. But you don't have to hang out with Troy Aikman like your buddies at halftime. Is that what you guys do at halftime? Yeah, Papa John, that's what we do at halftime.
I don't think those
What a
spots are even
schmooze.
good.
No, they're not.
They're not good.
And he comes off as this, I'll pay you to be your friend. He comes off
Yeah.
as a Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban
Yeah.
was this, nerdy techno guy in high school that couldn't hang out with the jocks or get the girls.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He makes zillions of dollars in computers and buys a team and hangs out with the jocks because he pays for his friends.
You know
just
who I
like
feel
Papa John
is
Schnatter.
kind of like that?
They're terrible.
You
people.
brought up his name earlier. But
I hate Mark Cuban. I hate Mark Cuban.
Okay.
He's the worst.
I want to
media
quickly tell
whore.
you a
Ugh.
funny, well, I at least thought it was funny, Jim Nance story.
Okay.
My buddy is, his name
I
is
like Jim Nance, by the way.
Tommy Spencer is his Jim Nance's assistant. So whenever they do in golf, not when he's doing basketball or football or baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And remember what was the tournament that was here in 2009 or 10 when YE
PGA.
Yeah,
the PGA over
What?
at Hazelton.
Yeah, Hazelton, which is hosting the Ryder Cup next year.
Right.
by the
I was
way.
at that.
So we're up in the
lose.
broadcast tower
We'll
on,
lose.
on the 18th hole, and it's him and Faraday.
Yeah.
And Faraday,
You were
has
in
got-
the you were in
I
the
was
tower?
in the broadcast tower
You.
behind
That's
us
pretty
two.
cool.
That's really cool.
They go to break.
That's really cool.
They go to break.
Yeah, but
and
don't-
Faraday is laying out every swear word, every naughty joke, and it was hysterical.
Oh, yeah,
he's a
he's-
funny
oh,
guy,
I'd love
and I
to
think
hang
he's
out with him
funnier,
for 5 minutes.
funnier sober
Oh,
than
I suppose, yeah.
as a drunk. And
Well, he's been
God
sober for
bless
years.
his sobriety. I applaud that.
You know he's got his own talk show on the golf
Oh, of
channel.
course,
Yeah.
I know.
He's a funny guy.
So then then they're like, and 5, and 4. So they go from this just the raunchiest story ever, and we're back.
You know he's got a
it-
tutor. He's got a tutor Burt Blyleven because there's a before and an after, and you can't cross that line.
Right.
When the light goes on,
But
you got to get in
even
character. Flip the switch.
Jim Nance was such a cool dude. I got to hang out with him in his trailer afterwards, and
Now he doesn't live in a trailer for the. It was like it's like a mobile dressing room. I mean, Jim Nance is a classy guy.
If
There
he
was
moved-
a
if he
not
lived
that
in
there's
a
anything
trailer, it'd
wrong
be
with
$5
there was
million.
a star on the
There's
door
nothing
with his
wrong
name.
with living in
Right.
a trailer. People don't think I'm judging. But Jim Nance does not live in a mobile home park in Coon Rapids.
People don't usually do aspire to it.
Well,
Oh,
he's just got. I mean, that's a mobile dressing
Asperity
room.
or
That's
whatever he promotes.
Oh, yeah, wow. Pardon the pun. Jesus.
Well, you want to? I got to. Oh, go ahead with your trailer story. I got a
Well,
trailer
no.
story when you're done.
Well, let's make it clear. I did not hang out with Jim Nance in a trailer down by the river. That would be kind of
got you.
scary.
I got you.
But maybe there isn't a punchline. But Faraday and
Sylvester Stallone was in Spy Kids. What? I've got.
so
Boy,
was
do I have ADD.
Jessica
Wow,
Alba.
distracted.
Jessica Alba is.
I've really got
Wait,
ADD.
now I'm going to watch.
That's Sylvester Stallone, isn't it? He's in Spy Kids. Rocky.
Adrian.
Okay,
Anyway, he was.
I gotta watch Spy Kids.
We're going. This is go. We got to
sorry.
land the. We got to land the plane.
Yeah, no, I'll
anyway,
reel it in. I'll reel it in.
Faraday and Jim Nance, which are such consummate professionals in the broadcasting world, to hear them do off-color stuff. Another Shirley Temple. Okay, we got to cut them off.
What about fries? What about fries? You want some more fries? They ate all the fries.
They are going to be up until Thursday.
Okay, continue. Anyway.
Anyway,
Land the
just my point is, Jim Nance was the nicest guy in the world. You know, you hear about like Brian Gumbel has a little bit of an image about him. You know, he's been known to not be.
He's a jerk, huh?
Costas, I don't think is really known as a really
I've
nice
just kind of
guy.
heard that. You know,
Okay,
he's
I believe you. I believe
I
you.
used to go to the old Crosby, the AT&T out in Pebble Beach,
Oh,
and
nice,
I'd watch
nice,
some of those guys. Bill Murray would always go,
sure.
and some athletes or movie stars are just genuinely nice people.
Yes.
And I thought
Puppy.
Jim Nance and Faraday were the two of the most cool dudes ever.
Sure.
And it makes me want to listen
They
to
seem
CBS
like they would be.
games.
They seem like they would be, to be honest.
Oh,
with you.
totally.
I
And
could
like
listen to those two call anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
they can
Anything.
read the phone book.
Right.
Anderson, Adams, Andrews. And, I'd be
And
like,
Faraday
oh.
would make a crack on it
Right,
somehow.
right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Faraday has some surprising American allegiances when the Ryder Cup rolls around because he's a naturalized citizen of this country. I've heard him joke around on a show how he cheers for the red, white, and blue. Yeah, I mean he was a member of the European Ryder
Right.
Cup team back in the day.
Yeah.
Of course, his memory of it is probably a bit scattered because he was a raging alcoholic at the time. But
Amongst other things.
But I digress. I'll give you a movie star trailer story, and then we'll get back to sports. Although this is sports related. You remember the movie Miracle? Kurt Russell, of course. It's basically Kurt Russell in an ensemble cast. Although there were a couple of, like Tack from Friends was Jim Craig. Other than that, it was just kind of a bunch of ragtag guys,
Right.
college hockey players and stuff that were, or people who could skate and maybe act a little, that were thrown into the mix, including my friend Nate Miller, who played for the Gophers, and he was John Harrington in the movie, and he was like. Nobody played of all the guys in this movie. Nobody played hockey at a higher level than Nate. Nate played for Minnesota, and these other guys were just kind of guys who could skate and
Maybe played some
be
high school or
passable.
something.
Yeah, exactly. And Kurt Russell is a hockey fan, and he knew Nate was a Gopher. So anyway, during the shooting of this, Kurt Russell has a trailer, and since it's just a bunch of ragtag ensemble cast, nobody else gets a trailer. Nate Miller does not get a trailer.
Right.
So Kurt Russell's got a trailer, and in his trailer he's got cable, satellite, whatever. And this happens to be. Oh, hang on, we got a potty break over here.
Hey, William.
William, come back and tell your daddy again.
What was your request? What did Francesca want?
Oh, now you're freaking him out.
A to-go cup?
To go come. Oh, we're not ready to go.
No. But just as we're planning ahead.
Oh, okay.
When it's time to leave.
Okay.
When it's time to
When
leave.
it's time to leave.
He said, when is it time to leave?
Okay. Oh, sorry, William. That's what the listeners. That's what the listeners are saying too.
Exactly.
So, William, welcome aboard. William, you're one of us. But anyway, so this happens to be they're shooting while the Gophers are playing New Hampshire for the national championship in Buffalo, 2003.
Right.
And Kurt Russell sees, it's a 1-1 game in the third, and he sees Vanek go in and hold it, gets David Ayers, the goaltender, down, gets him prone, and then roofs it for the go-ahead goal. It's 2-1. Kurt Russell comes busting out of his trailer to find Nate. Nate, you won't believe what just happened. The Gophers just won it, and he acted out the goal for Nate Miller. So Kurt Russell's like, Vanek held it, he did it. So Nate Miller's like, he's shooting Miracle. He's out on the ice shooting a scene for the movie, and Kurt Russell's acted, probably still dressed as Herb Brooks,
Right.
acting out Thomas Vanek's goal. How surreal is that?
That's the
Kurt
coolest thing
Russell
ever.
dressed as Herb Brooks is acting out Thomas Vanek scoring a go-ahead goal as he just witnessed it for Nate Miller, the former Gopher who's dressed as.
my God.
You have to
playing
bring
John
that up
Harrington.
tomorrow night.
Isn't that bizarre?
You have to bring that up
That's
tomorrow
awesome.
night. That's a
I will.
cool-ass
That
story.
that
You
is
have to bring that up.
I do have some stories, but that's a great Vanek story.
Yeah.
Although it's not really a Vanek story, it's a Vanek-related
Well,
story.
it's related.
And tomorrow, for those who will be listening to this show before tomorrow, if you listen to the show after Tuesday, this will do you no good. But tomorrow, instead of doing Wild Wednesday from the bar here, we have a Wild Wednesday special, a very special Blossom, a very special Wild Wednesday where Blossom gets her period. No, it's Wild Wednesday, live from Fan HQ in Ridgedale Mall, which is a sporting goods store, fan apparel store, and it's run by Sean. I've known Sean for years. He's a very good guy, and he turned us on to this because he's got Thomas Vanek coming in for an autograph session. And he invited us to do the show there and help promote the event, and we've done that, and we're going to continue to do that for the next 24 hours, and then we're going to do Wild Wednesday, Tuesday night at 7. I believe you'll be able to listen to it live as it happens. If not, wait till 8 o'clock and listen to it on podcast, or if you're used to Wild Wednesday on Wednesday, Wait and let's do it Wednesday.
What happened to the Wild this weekend in L.A.?
They played so well yesterday.
They had 41 shots on goal against their 16.
Well, now, John, I'm not going to push any panic buttons because Jonathan Quick will do this to a lot of teams. I mean, Jonathan Quick's an elite goaltender. But so anyway, people, if you got a chance tomorrow at 7:00, get out to Fan HQ in Ridgedale because you will get a chance to get an autograph from Thomas Vanek and see the Wild Wednesday crew, minus Tony Dean, who has other obligations at the time. But anyway, I digress. The Wild, the one thing that has frustrated me over the years with the Wild, at least over the last couple of years, is their lack of ability to finish. And as a matter of fact, I read an article today about Vanek is quoted talking about how frustrated he is that he has not broken through. He has not scored a goal in 4 games, and he is an elite goal scorer brought here for that express purpose.
Power play, especially too,
yes,
right? Well,
correct,
he's second line.
correct.
No, he's in the first line, right?
I mean, well, he's on the second line, but he's bounced. There hasn't been set power play units. He's been bounced back and forth between first and second. But he's always, if you want to find him, look for Koivu because he is, as Scott and or Tony pointed out, he is tethered to Koivu, both 5-on-5 and with the man advantage. But this team, what has frustrated me in the past is they will play extraordinarily well and quite frequently have very little to show for it because they lack finishers. And I don't mean guys from Finland. They just don't have guys who finish. Or at least they haven't in the past. Now they have more now than they have in the past. But nonetheless, this weekend, both in Anaheim and especially in LA, we saw games where they were very, very good at times and just didn't put it away. I mean, just couldn't put the puck in the net. As a matter of fact, the one goal they had Sunday was an even strength goal from the fourth line. I mean, they're deep and they'll roll 4 lines. But I mean, it was a beautiful goal too in transition. Cook getting the tip after I believe a feed from Ryan Carter. I mean, a beautiful goal for a fourth line. Beautiful goal for a first line, but
sure.
To have 41. I mean, the shots when
41 to 16.
I mean, that sounds like a Gopher game. That sounds like a Gopher Michigan Tech game. And
41 shots on goal to their 16.
Yeah, the Wild dominated. They were by far and away the better team. I mean, they were the better team all day long.
Right. But the Wild teams of the past? I know you're talking about them not being able to finish. Did they have? I mean, we're talking about golden chances that we're just literally not putting in the net. I mean, Pominville whiffed twice in Anaheim, and
yeah, he did.
I mean, there's been a couple where it's literally an open net and you just don't put it away. And I don't think that. I think that's different than what we've seen in the past.
Dude, yeah, well, you're dead right. But I mean, it's just been a Wild characteristic to be just a bit impotent offensively, despite having opportunity after. That's kind of the story of my life. I mean, I've been on a million great dates. I got laid like 3 times. It's basically.
We need to talk.
That's a good ratio, man. You're doing well.
You're going about it all wrong.
Have you heard of Tinder?
Attitude.
Yeah.
Attitude.
Okay.
Go in and
just because you walk into bars with kids doesn't mean you're Mr. Just get it when I want.
If I wasn't married, this would be my greatest ability to hook up.
Well, all right.
Look at these two little kids.
So we have physical proof that
what
you've
a
gotten
great
laid
dad.
twice
God,
in your
love
life.
you.
Congratulations. So weathermen do get laid. And, I'm not going to throw you under the bus here, but I still catch heat about my views on global warming. And I know you're just too much of a coward to get on my side on this, but
I forgot your side because I have a side.
I think it's overblown. I think it's a lot of hype.
It's a total joke.
Yes, meteorologist on my side.
I thought you and I were on the same page.
We are.
Well, we just haven't seen each other in a while.
But you were afraid to admit it when you were on Channel 45 because the left comes out and calls you an idiot. They were all over me. The City Pages crowd wanted to crucify me.
I remember that.
They wanted to kill me just because I'm not all afraid of global warming.
Wait, is that Hubbard and he couldn't go right? That seems
how about
odd.
that? Yeah, seriously. But it's not a political thing. It doesn't have to be. For one thing, how is the weather a political issue? I mean, let's not bring politics into everything.
It's become a political
issue.
But it should. It should. Well, you know what?
So
school lunches,
we've warmed, we've cooled, everything's happened before.
Yes.
Just relax.
We've taken accurate weather readings statistically for 250 years.
And we've been here for 3 billion.
And you're going to tell me how big a glacier was? 100 million years ago or 10 million years ago?
And a lot of our temperature data is from satellites, and they've been in the air
not for hundreds of millions of years
since the 70s.
Yeah,
the most. So.
How about can you remember the caveman launches? I mean, seriously, that was a caveman watching the satellite go up. I mean, it's just
no wonder you haven't been 3 times out of 200 dates. If you sound like that.
It's just I'm not saying that we aren't having some impact on.
Of course, I mean, there's a lot of.
There's some greenhouse effect. There's some
absolutely,
but you know what? Every era of how arrogant man. I mean, when I say mankind, how arrogant mankind is. Every single generation thinks that they're bringing the world down because how could we not? Because damn it, we're so important. We're running this show. We're going to take the world down.
Narcissistic
The world
as
is
hell.
going to end during my lifetime.
Right.
Because
Well,
why wouldn't it? Because we're the end all. People are so arrogant.
Time magazine
so
in the
arrogant.
'70s was, a global cooling.
Yep.
We're gonna turn into a
Another
glacier.
ice
and
world.
It's unbelievable.
It's
It's
our
unbelievable
fault.
how every era of man takes him or herself so
It's
seriously.
very egotistical,
Yes.
isn't it?
Isn't it the
Terribly
easiest thing, though, if anybody ever comes up with that, you just go, so how many cars were around when we came out of the Ice Age? That's
Yeah,
all I say.
seriously.
After that, your arguments are all moved.
And
We may be warming, glaciers may be shrinking. That's okay. That to
happens,
me is
and
the
it will happen
natural
again.
evolution of
How do we know?
our
How do we
planet.
know how long a weather cycle is? I mean, how can we
Right.
possibly know?
Right.
And I am not. I take some stances that might lead people to believe that I am not a man of science, and I am. I've lived my life based on ration and reason, not spirituality or religion or faith. That's not my style. But I still do believe that from time to time science gets a little full of itself and thinks it knows things that it doesn't.
Right.
I mean, like when we dig up fossils of an animal, and from these fossils, we're going to tell you about its social behavior. It's like, well, no, they do. They dig up bones and then tell me how this thing lived. Well, it had to be social because we found a whole bunch of them here. Well, no, maybe they just had a thing where they all went to a place to die. Maybe they're just very instinctive animals. They just all went to die together. I mean, forever, what did we hear was the most ferocious, nastiest predator of all time. I mean, they made movies about how mean and nasty Tyrannosaurus Rex is. Now we find out it's a scavenger. It was the vulture of the prehistoric time.
What did I
Because
hear?
its little puny arms were so ineffective. It was like
And
Sharif Floyd.
and he couldn't hug anybody. He couldn't hug.
Yeah,
he
so-
was a mellow dude.
Yeah, he was the short.
All he wanted to do was
Floyd.
hug.
Yeah, he
But
he
those
has the
arms
puny
were
little
too
Sharif
short.
Floyd arm, so he couldn't have been a predator. He's just a scavenger. So again, science wanted me to believe for hundreds of years, or for dozens of years, or for generations, whatever, that this was the fiercest predator of all time. And now all of a sudden, it's just nothing more than a scavenger going around eating carrion. I mean, isn't that what it's called?
Yeah,
Carrion?
yeah. It's
I
the
mean,
eagles fly over the hawks, and
Yeah,
then
I
look,
mean,
it's
come
the
on.
bodies of.
Yeah, not to be confused with what you take on an airplane. This is not carry on; it's carry. But the whole, I mean, science.
Hey,
the point
can
is,
I- can I-
science is wrong
okay.
all the time. They think they don't.
When I did this show with him,
My
I'm
voice is
45,
really getting squeaky.
and sometimes Judd and I would just look at each other because we could see him just like taking off into his own little world. This is one of those moments.
Oh, it got weird.
He's. We've gone from hockey to. We're about to hit Carl Sagan. I know that's next.
No.
But
Billions
you've
and billions.
taught. We've got into anthropology. We're this is morphing into a discussion.
Did you say morphine? No.
Jesus.
Just kidding. I'm just
That's a
kidding.
past life.
Look, I've been,
It's a
I've been-
past
I've been
life.
sober for 3.5 years. And
Yes,
proud
you
of it.
are.
Anyway, well,
And I have been listening to Jeff for years, so I'm used to this too.
right.
Like, I
Well,
haven't
no.
worked with him long, but I know all about
we
it.
had some crazy TV moments. But the thing is, I'm used to having like a 3 or 4 hour radio show.
Right.
When you're on TV, it's like a 4-minute window because
Quick
Gaten would do
hitters.
traffic forever and just screw it. He'd go into our time with some story about goats. Remember the goats? They ate into our time one time.
You would get so furious. You're like, wait,
You got bumped
we
by
got
goats?
cut because of
Goats?
2 minutes of this?
Goats?
Like,
What
my
is this?
material is so much more valuable to your listeners
Well, I didn't have
and
material.
viewers.
It's all improv. It's all spur of the
Well, that's what
moment,
got us in
top of the
trouble,
head.
didn't it?
But
The
that's-
improv part. In fact, there's a couple jokes that
There were a couple things that were
led
a
us
little-
up to the principal's office.
Yeah, that might be why I'm not there anymore. But it's all for the better, right? It's all for the better.
Change is your friend.
Yes, and that's how we wound up here at Devil's Advocate. We're happy to be. Devil's Advocate, the home of 40 craft beers on tap. It's how smooth and
That was a
transitional.
damn nice
It's too
segue.
bad
Have you
I-
been doing this for a while?
It's too bad I pointed it out because that's just I just ruined the whole thing. But in all honesty, it's a fantastic bar. It's a really cool bar. It's an old school. I mean, it's kind of trendy and old school at the same time, which I really dig. So it's got 40 craft beers. If you're a beer snob, I mean, they basically have scoured the country and brought you, the best of the best micros right here. So you can sit here and drink all night without having. Well, don't drink all night. If you do, don't drive. But you can sit here and drink without having to have a Coors Light or something else with genetically altered corn that's going to turn you into some crazy Hulk in the middle of the night.
I just shuddered when you said Coors Light.
Well, yeah.
And you're still doing the Dubay special for the rest of the month, right?
The Dubay special. Thanks for reminding me about the Dubay special.
Yeah.
Not that Dubay isn't special enough on his own, but the Dubay special is quite simply you come in here and you check in on social media. And what they do is you show it to the bartender and say, hey, look, I just checked in on social media, showed the world that I'm a Devil's Advocate. And they're going to give you $1 off your Widowmaker. And a Widowmaker is an EPA or an IPA? It's an EPA.
IPA.
IPA?
IPA, yep.
Okay. It's an IPA, which is an India Pale Ale, right?
Right. Nice and hoppy.
Yeah, this man is a beer connoisseur, by the way. Not just a beer snob; he's a beer connoisseur. So that's $1. If you do it during happy hour, it's $2 off, by the way. And then there's a second beer special, not to confuse people, but it's just as equally special as the first special, regardless of the fact that it's not the Jeff Dubay special.
The brilliant thing is they can rewind this because it's a podcast. So
Yeah.
if you didn't catch all that,
That's
just
true.
go back 30 seconds.
That's true. But the other beer special is if you come in here during the show, which is between 5 and 6, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, although we won't be here Wednesday. I think they'd still honor it if you came in. During the show, you can get a buck off. The mountain living, or is it easy living? Easy living, mountain living.
I want to say it's easy living.
I forget. It's easy mountain living. We'll call it. But don't know if you
This
say
sounds
easy
like.
It sounds like a John Denver song. It sounds like a John Denver song. Easy mountain living.
Rocky Mountain High,
Yeah,
easy
seriously.
mountain living.
That's my favorite line from Dumb and Dumber. I think John Denver's full of shit. They're driving through Nebraska and they think they're in Colorado. That's hilarious.
Well, isn't that when they were going the wrong way?
Yeah. They took a wrong turn and went through Nebraska,
Denver's full
and
of
it's just like nothing but plains and cornfields.
I'm
And they're looking
so
for
nervous
mountains.
that movie isn't going to be as funny as the first.
At least they waited long enough to build up enough
I
material.
know.
They didn't rush it like Hangover 2, which was the worst
Which
movie
was
I've
the-
ever
oh,
seen.
it was terrible.
Oh, god awful movie.
Terrible. Hey, can we talk a
but
little
anyway.
Vikings at all?
Well, I didn't finish the special.
Oh.
If you come in during the show, you get a buck off either of those beers. No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, real quick. Vikings.
Anybody need anything?
Kids.
Oh no, they're sugar.
No,
dogs.
they're
like
they're
they are
into.
in the
They're
zone.
fine. We got them covered.
I think we're cool.
I'm
now.
good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, can I get another ice water? Thanks. I'm a little parched. I
The-
talk too much. That's the problem.
The last 2 minutes of that game was not as heartbreaking as wide right. It wasn't as heartbreaking
Well, no.
as
There's no expectation.
But it was just you couldn't believe what was happening. That this
Thank you.
middle of the road quarterback for Buffalo was marching this team
We've
down
lost
the
to Kyle
field.
Orton before.
Yeah, we've seen
I
Kyle
know,
Orton.
I know.
We've been
I
down
know.
there,
Kyle
Paul.
Orton.
But 4th and
This is the
20
first time we gave
was
it up to Kyle Orton.
unbelievable. And Chad
4th and
Greenway
20
was
hurt.
looking at the wrong way. I remember. Did you see that? I mean,
Yeah,
you saw him
but
all
he was
turned
still
around.
he was still right there. I mean, it was a good throw, right? I mean, when you could have tightened up the seam on a linebacker, if you execute that, it's not going to be stopped. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Linebackers rarely, if ever, sufficiently cover tight ends. If a ball is well thrown, it's well thrown. I mean, sometimes guys make plays,
Right.
And I mean, I'm not. Yeah, maybe people sit there and say, "Oh, you're a Greenway apologist." I mean, he used to be a guest on our show, and I got to, I know him personally. And he's a hell of a guy, and I think a good player. He did turn the wrong way, and I mean, the ball was just beyond his reach,
Right,
just beyond his
right.
fingertips. But I mean, that was still pretty well defended. I mean,
Right.
like I look at the game-winning touchdown to Watkins. I mean, there's not much more. I mean, I felt bad for Rhodes because he gave up the last two plays. The play
Right,
down to
yeah,
one that
he
right.
looked
But he was
bad
right.
there.
It was
but
a
he was
perfectly thrown ball.
But he was right there on both plays. I mean,
Right.
he defended him well, and sometimes people make plays, and
Right.
especially in the NFL where it's so set up to be able to throw the ball. And let's just face it, it's not that hard to throw the ball. I mean, it's hard as hell to defend the pass. It's not that hard to throw the ball. And I don't think
But aren't
Rhodes
you-
did a thing wrong on either of those plays. He's
Really,
right
though?
there. They were perfect. They were perfectly. I have a problem with one-on-one on the outside. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
well, the play
I don't
call
know-
itself, yeah.
I don't know why you don't have a second guy out there to bump their best receiver off the line of scrimmage.
But don't you know that's the route he's running?
Well,
I mean, what other route is he running where you have to make sure you're inside of him?
Well,
he's
but
pretty much for sure going outside.
But if you cheat and he takes a quick slant, I mean
Yeah.
that's even easier.
Yeah, I
I mean,
guess.
at least that's a hard throw.
yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah. You make them. Yeah, you make them make the right play.
And
yeah.
I just don't know why you don't have a second guy out there. I mean, they're trusting Rhodes as their top cover corner, and he is developing into that. He's a big physical kid.
I thought the
who's just
defense. I mean, Barr looked great.
he's
Harrison
everywhere.
Smith looked great. I mean, the
You know who's
defense is
good?
coming alive.
The guy who got arrested a couple weeks ago is damn good.
Oh,
Johnson.
Johnson,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
Yeah, seriously.
And Linval had a good game
How
too.
many times do you think
The guy that got shot a
during
couple
the game?
of weeks.
During the game, yeah. Seriously, the guys who get shot and arrested, they're just kicking it. But how many times a game do you think PA Tuck says that Johnson is straight and strong? I mean, I don't listen on the radio,
Jesus.
but how many times a game do you think he does that?
I know.
How does he pass up the opportunity? Right?
Seriously, I'm sure he does. Do you think? There's nothing
I can
wrong
see
with
it.
that.
I can
I'm
see
not
it.
ripping him. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I know the guy well.
Speaking of Barr, though, that hit early on the quarterback, was that a penalty to you guys? That 15-yarder
It was
where he put his
close. Well, I mean,
shoulder.
what bothered me about that play is he was practically tackled. Had he not been tackled, he wouldn't have been late to the quarterback.
His knees an inch off the ground, and Barr comes over.
No,
and gives
I'm
him the
talking about
shoulder.
Barr was almost tackled. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was being wrestled to the ground by
Oh,
whoever.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if he's not held, he's not late. And
Right.
if he's
Sure,
not held,
sure.
the quarterback's not knee high when he hits him. I mean,
Right.
the whole thing.
But it didn't even look like was he
It's
fully
okay.
down when that hit came in?
well, but he hit him in that back.
It was
of
the head. They said he hit the
that's right,
helmet.
that's
right. And it's-
But when a guy's being brought down,
Yeah, it's
his
tough.
helmet is at a different level than when
Yeah,
you get there.
that is
That's
tough.
what sucks.
Right.
Yeah, and
Well, it's kind of like that Captain Munderland play for a
Yeah.
couple
The
weeks ago,
Saints.
where
Yeah.
the guy's not down, so get him down. He could still throw the ball.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And he's 6. Well, Breeze isn't that big, but Breeze is strong, and you've got to do something to take the guy down.
But aren't the Bills? The Bills are just going through this division like a hot knife through butter, and it's the Buffalo Bills.
And they beat
Well,
they
they're
beat
not a bad-
Detroit. They beat Miami. They beat.
well, this division. I mean, I was talking about
Right,
they've gone through this
right.
division. I mean, they beat
Yeah,
the Bears.
the Bears, yeah.
They beat the Bears and they beat
Yeah.
the Lions on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lions.
And
are
the
not a
Lions
bad
look like
team.
they might be legit.
But the Lions have a phenomenal defense. But I didn't realize how good Buffalo's defense was going into this game. Not that you have to be, all world to slow the Vikings.
But their
on
front
rush.
four is sick, right?
Yeah, they've got three Pro Bowlers. They've got 3 All-Pros on that front line, and they're number 1 against the run, if I'm not mistaken. But, I mean, the Lions are number 1 overall in the league. So we've gone against. But I tell you what, I did have somebody I wanted to rip today. I'm going to get to it real quick. Well,
While you're looking
not
this
only
up-
is Matt Khalil underachieving, but he's really an idiot.
Hey,
and he shouldn't
he's
be an
from
idiot.
SC.
I know he's your
Come
guy.
on, come on, he's my guy.
He's a moron.
What he said, here we go. What he said in the paper today.
I played better, or what
here
did he
goes.
say?
If we win this game, we're not getting the same interview. He goes on to say, we all
Well,
worked
of
our
course
butts
not.
off as an offensive line to step it up after last week, and I thought we did that. I thought I had a solid game in pass protection. I can always get better in the run game. But if we win this game, everybody's praising us. It just comes with a loss. Praise him. You scored 16 points on the road. Your quarterback has been running for his life for 2 straight weeks. You have committed multiple penalties and gotten beat on a way too regular basis for, what is he, the 3rd or 4th overall pick of the draft? Right after Lucky
Fourth.
Griffin, right?
Right,
I mean,
fourth.
more or less. I mean, so for him to be this blind to his actual level of performance. I mean, the level of performance from a guy drafted that high. We haven't forgotten about you. I promise we're gonna squeeze you in here. But to perform at the level that he's performing at, and for the player he should be, is bad enough. But to be that oblivious as to your actual.
Well, and also it was when we were first and goal on the 7 to ice the game,
And he got beat.
There was two sacks in a row, and the one was on.
It's not okay.
What's his name? Loadhold, but the other one was on him.
Yeah,
and it was Matador
and then sit
defense.
there and say, boy, if we won that game, we'd be getting praise right now. You scored 16 points. You had 2 15-yard penalties. If you would have found a way to win that game 16-13, we wouldn't be in here swinging on your nuts.
There's nobody praising that offensive line if we win.
No
one.
No.
You barely made it through that. You survived that.
Yes.
That would have been the way that was
And
looked
did
at.
you hear the coach in his press conference when asked about the offensive line? There was this awkward pause, and he's like, "Well," and it was telling what he didn't say. He didn't say this part of our game plan worked better. This part worked better. The only part he didn't say worked better in his eyes this game versus the last was the offensive line.
Yep.
It was very telling.
Who's Matt Khalil's backup?
There is none. He doesn't have one.
Well, at this
There's
point,
got to be somebody.
Well, I mean,
you can at least put in there for a couple of plays to make him
Do you
feel
bring
like a
Dukas
ass.
over?
Well, that's
from
the thing.
guard,
You've got guys who back up in multiple positions,
Yeah.
and right now they're all pretty much thrown in because you've been losing people. I mean, you've been losing people left and right on that line, so the depth is awfully diminished at this point. There's no doubt about that. Hey, it's 13 minutes to the top of the hour. Again, I have to be real careful. I get the time. It's a podcast. I don't know what the hell time people are listening. That's up to them. But we have a 60-minute show.
Right in front of your mouth.
And,
There you go.
and
perfect.
It is 47 minutes past the top of our hour, so 13 minutes left in the show. We want to get to a couple things before it's too late. Did somebody just drop something? It's
Job
the hell out of
opening.
me. Yeah, excuse me. Hang on. I
that's
hate when that
nice.
happens.
Very nice.
I wouldn't
if they
do that
would
on
have
the
dropped that right then, that
There's
would have
no
been perfect.
cough button on a podcast, but I don't care. So anyway, the whole Alive and Social Network being put together by Sean Bernard, it keeps adding pieces. I mean, from the time we started the show, we've got a producer / sidekick in Jason McGovern. We've put together a Wild Wednesday show with Scott Schweitz and Tony Dean. And now, of course, my phone turns off right when I was going to read your little bio that Sean sent me. Is it Cornett?
Cornett.
Katie Cornett. You are the social media / promotions gal. What have you been hired to do? I mean, you are the newest member of the network, newest member of the team.
This is true.
Welcome aboard. So
Thank you.
what is it you do?
Well, as of right now, it's still kind of a question mark.
It's for all of us.
Yep, I'm going to learn as I go, but going to be doing the social media aspect and got a lot of events.
I got
new
14,000 followers, you know.
Okay,
Is that
well, I'm
impressive?
going to take all of those.
Is that impressive?
Yeah. And then I'm going to be...
That doesn't work in bars with chicks. I've tried it before.
No. How many followers?
Hey, how many
Instead of
followers do you have?
looking for Mr. Goodbar, hey, how many followers do you have? Doesn't work.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't.
You will be interrupted anytime you come on the show. It is what it is. So again, try to describe your duties to us. And I don't mean you would just describe your duties.
From what you know.
Yes.
Right. I had my
I don't-
first meeting today. It's cool. Yeah, I'm going to be going around to different events,
So tasteless.
different
I'm
bars.
Childish. Sorry.
It's all good.
It's a little runny.
Dude,
I'm so immature.
let the
You guys are
ship
really
sail.
obnoxious.
Let's
Sorry.
move on.
I'm sorry. It's just so embarrassing. I'm such an embarrassment to the network. Continue. I'm going to step aside.
I was going to tell you how I'm part of the network now, too, but now I'm new. Now I don't want to.
Anyway, yeah, they're starting to do some events at bars around town, and I'm going to be kind of mingling, going around to those and meeting people and uploading stuff on social media, getting
Cool.
the word out there.
Explain Wednesday. What's going on Wednesday?
For right now, as I know, it's kind of like a live music jam. It's going on at Shamrocks, Irish Nook in St. Paul. And it's just going to be, we're going to have some bands going on, and they're going to bring a local athlete. Not sure who it's going to be as of right
Me?
now.
No, I'm just kidding.
They
Yep.
said athlete.
Yep, and then maybe some other kind of, famous local personality. Maybe.
Oh, would that be me?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, you have
I
a
don't
chance
know
at that one at
the
least.
full details as of right now.
Get your shoes on. You're a restaurant for
Where the
God's
hell
sake.
are we?
I don't know who you guys
Hammer.
are right now.
Oh, he's running around without shoes.
It's
on.
really
This
nice
is
to
a
meet us, huh?
There are
Nice to
health
meet you
codes.
guys.
My
Yeah.
my
There are health
flip-flops,
codes.
I couldn't get them.
We
My
got
son
Pat the
needed my
hippie over
attention
here.
right away.
So
Welcome to
it's
radio and
what's
TV
the name
people.
of that show? We're launching a new show on the network. Do you know the name of it? I don't. I should. Shouldn't I?
It's the new
is
show at
Bernard's
Shamrocks.
Well, yeah, I guess. This is Bernard's fault, not mine.
Yeah.
It's his show, not mine. He should know the name. He should have told me the name. Mm-hmm. What's the name, Bernard? He's not here.
No.
But anyway.
You'll get a text.
But for those who want to know, say if I can't give where would they find it? Just on.
With the show, the
Yeah,
event?
yeah.
They just go to Shamrocks.
Okay.
Wednesday nights at 9, goes
Okay.
from 9 to 11.
Okay. And they can find it by going to Spreaker to the Live and Social Network, I would imagine, if they
Yes.
want to find the show.
That's where I'm sure that's where he'll end up putting the podcast
Yes.
of it.
Sure,
yes.
of course. Well, yes, part of the network. See, now I've done my duty. I mean, I got
You've done something.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
How are they paying you? Like popcorn, I'm guessing? I mean, nobody gets cash.
you
High
know,
fives?
Nobody gets cash. Yeah,
We
high
need
fives.
high fives.
Yep, congrats. Attaboys. How many attaboys a week you get? I mean,
They're
seriously.
paying me in handshakes and hugs right now.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
That's
Guys,
more than I
well done.
get.
Yeah, that's-
Do you
yeah.
remember that Jack Galifianakis joke? About the high five
It's
joke?
Zach, not Jack.
What-
Galifianakis.
oh, did I
You
say
said
Jack?
Zach. I thought you
Zach.
said
It's
Zach. I think I
thought you
said Zach.
Okay, my bad.
When he talked about the,
Get on my side.
I
would
don't
you?
know if this is appropriate for podcasts.
Oh, nothing's
Oh,
inappropriate.
we're on a podcast.
But he talks
There's
about
no appropriate.
he talks about the
I just talk
kid.
about the bowel movements of the new girl employee, for God's
He
sake.
goes. Did you hear about the young man who had
sorry, Katie.
had
You're
an
fine.
affair with a teacher, I believe, but then he passed away, and he died of high fiving.
That's horrible.
He died
Making
of high
jokes
but
of
it was-
pedophilia is off limits on the Jeff Dubay podcast.
I
Let's say he was
understand,
18
but it
he
was
an
a
18
Zach
He was an 18-year-old high school senior, right?
Was he? I think exactly.
Exactly. He was an 18-year-old high school.
Way to clean that up.
See,
Well done.
trust me, I know all the
If
loopholes.
you want Jeff Dubay for something, it's to clean it
Oh,
up.
Hammer. That reminds me, Hammer. Did you? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am the hazmat of podcasting. Did I fill you in on Grill the Host? Did you want any part of that or not?
I'd love to be a part of that.
Oh, I
did
want
you
him to be a
prepare
part of this
anything?
In
too.
television, I was
Okay,
getting a
well,
wrap.
we've got 8 minutes left. It's a good time to do it if we're going to do it.
And you stay here to react to this because this
Okay,
is
well,
fun.
Grill.
If
Now,
it's-
for those who don't know Grill the Host, again, I'm not trying to make myself out to be the most interesting man in the bar, but I mean, I've done a few things. I've been lucky enough to witness a few things. I've been in the in a winning locker room for 2 World Series, and I was a vital cog for both. I might add.
what would they have done without you?
What would they have done? They would have played with dirty jocks. I have been in jail. I've done time. I was mired in the throes of addiction and exalted in the victory of recovery. Well, although I have a beer from
Congrats.
time to time. Well, thanks. I'll have a beer from time to time, but it's nothing to worry about. What else have I done? I've worked with Paul Allen. I mean, that's something. I worked with Judd
Paul
Zolgad.
Allen.
I've worked with Pat Hammer. I've
There you go.
been
And that's where it peaked.
I've
And
been,
it's
well,
just
I've
now
been
And all downhill from there.
star of radio, star of TV, and now of podcasting. So anyway, shoot away.
Okay, I do have a question because you've
Yeah, I'm pretty-
I
that's made myself
know
sound really cool.
I've always been a fan of the Phoenix rising from the ashes. What?
Well, that's not exactly what I am.
Okay, hold on. But
Oh, we got more
William,
kids
I'll
here.
be right there. Let me ask you this.
Well, your kid doesn't wear shoes either. Dude, this is a
I
restaurant.
told you we forgot.
Okay, yeah,
the
we
shoes.
forgot. Okay. Well, that's okay. I ran into that day the
Do
other day.
you have
Go
a
ahead.
higher power?
Higher power?
A higher power.
Wow, that's really a good question.
Wow.
I believe in God.
I know this is deep.
I believe in God.
No, I don't
but
necessarily
not-
mean that. But when you have dealt with your issues of the past, what have you relied on? Has it been
Unfortunately,
a higher
maybe
power, or has
unfortunately,
it
maybe
been a-
myself. I talk to myself
Okay.
a lot, and I mean, like out loud, so enough that I try to keep a headset
While walking
on.
down the street, or
Well,
do you
yeah,
do this at
that's
home
why,
mostly?
That's
Hopefully,
why I keep my headset on, even if I'm not listening to anything. I want people to at least believe I might be on the phone.
nice.
But in all honesty,
I was at the local the other day, and he was walking by with his headset on, and I'm like, "Who you?" I mean, you know,
I stopped and yelled, "Hammer!" And he's like, look at me
Answer
like,
the question. So, do you have a? What do you give
like
your
when I was locked up,
recovery to?
I don't think there was any lower point than being locked up.
Yeah.
And that's when I started talking to myself, and not because I was going crazy. I wasn't having like a Midnight Express moment, but Basically,
I don't know if many people got that, but I sure did. What a powerful movie.
That's one of the
One of the best movies.
Yeah, I was like 10 years old. It changed me.
Oh, my gosh.
It's
And he
probably
recently
what's wrong.
passed. The guy that starred in that.
Okay, not the guy who it's based on. He probably OD'd.
No, the actor. The actor
Okay,
who
okay.
played in the Turkish prison.
Let us. I mean, I just when I watch that movie now, if I see it now, I don't know what movie creeps me out more, either that or Clockwork Orange. I mean, I just can't watch either without getting completely
That's
creeped
the
out.
creepiest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's super creepy. But I mean, this is pretty creepy. Like when he's in the bathroom and he's got the heroin or the hash or whatever it is taped to his body with the duct tape, and you just know he's going to get busted.
And then
you
they
just
hear
know what's
the
gonna
heartbeat.
happen.
You hear the boom, boom, boom,
It just-
and he's
you're-
walking up to the gate.
Your stomach's in your throat watching it.
Oh my gosh.
I just did it again. Jesus, see,
That's
see how
why we
bothered
had
me?
the screen.
You know
That's why we
who
had
was
it.
such a wonderful actor in that movie too? We're talking about
Quaid.
Randy Quaid.
Yeah, Quaid
was
fantastic.
amazing in
Yeah,
that movie.
yep. And but back to being
Yeah.
locked up. Not that I was having a Midnight Express moment, but you start to feel a little subhuman. I mean, I was in the workhouse, all right. So it's me and a bunch of guys with DUIs. I'm not in Attica. It's not Shawshank. I mean, it's not like I gotta make some elaborate escape plans. I'm there for a few months with guys with DUIs. Nonetheless, having a door locked behind you and being counted 3 times a day is dehumanizing. It just is. And I got to the point where there's a certain amount of loneliness that sets in where you want to hear a familiar voice,
Right.
a familiar voice, a friendly voice, and what you'd like to think is a reasonably intelligent voice. So I started just talking to myself. Not that I was going crazy, just, like if I, like all the times you're walking around and you see something funny, instead of having like the one-liner in my head, I'd say it out loud. Well, that's a son of a bitch. And then make myself laugh.
Okay, I don't want to get too deep, but he started
I
it.
do Puffy out loud. Puffy, you can't go to you don't skip AA meetings in when you're locked up just because it's something to break up the day. And when they're talking about the powerlessness of this and loserness of that, I'm just in the back of the room going Puffy. I mean, just one after another. But anyway, Jason.
But it's just, okay, my thing is, you brought it deep, so I want to maybe take this a little deeper. But when especially comedy, if you're gonna make yourself laugh, sometimes you feel like that actually didn't even come from you, like it came from outside of you. So
I
do you
make myself
possibly?
laugh all the time.
Well, but do you possibly believe maybe that there is maybe that is your higher power, that you're even kind of speaking to yourself, but
that
is
could be your higher. That is
You guys
so
are freaking me out. I'm
well
so glad
put.
the show's
I
almost
like
over
that.
because my mind is just blown. I can't possibly put it back together for the last 3.5 minutes of the show.
That's what I do. That's what I'm here
forget about making myself laugh. I made Stephen Wright laugh, and that's my highlight.
Oh wow!
Stephen, you know who Stephen Wright is? Some
Yes.
people don't. I mean,
I love it.
I don't.
I put a
I don't.
I put a
Let's
humidifier
talk
and a
about it.
dehumidifier in the same room and let them fight it
he's
out.
basically from a visual, he's basically the Art Garfunkel of stand-up comedians. He's like this
Okay.
balding guy with a perm. And he was
Attractive.
huge in the 90s. He was on Letterman a lot. And he had a small role for a while on Mad About You, which I'm sorry that I even know that. But I'm ashamed to know that. But he
Well,
did.
you know why? Because we grew up with Helen Hunt in the ABC After
I
School
used to think
Special.
she's hot. I shouldn't
She
admit
still
that, should
is.
I? I'm
But
not sure
remember
she
her
is.
with?
No,
and
she
she
was
did that show called Angel Dusted.
No.
That was the ABC
Jesus.
After School. Oh yes. I have a crush on Helen Hunt. That
Okay,
goes
well, I did
for-
a long time ago, but I grew out of it. Thank God.
Yeah,
but
same
anyway,
here.
and he's a really funny comedian. He's like one of these guys. He seems like he's a stoner. He acts real dim-witted and talks slowly. Yeah,
Little
I
Mitch
went- I
Hedberg
went- I
like,
went
if
and
that
bought
means
some
anything.
used- I went to
say.
the store the other day and bought some used paint. It came in the shape of a house. Because I went home the other night and I walked up to the front door, put my key in the front door, and I turned it. The building started up. So I took it for a spin. He goes, the police pulled me over and said, "Hey, don't you know the speed limit here is 50 miles an hour?" I said, "Yeah, well, I'm not going to be out that long." I mean, that's Stephen Wright. But he was on the P and Dubay show.
Oh, you're so
and
good.
I didn't get him to chuckle. I mean, I got him to belly laugh, and I'm like,
Really?
I'm like,
if
fuck
I got
yeah.
him to go, I'd be proud.
Oh, I had a belly laugh.
Oh,
I made
nice.
him belly laugh. It was the best. Because he's trying to be down key, just be Mr. Somber Stoner. And all of a sudden he's like uproariously laughing. PA would never let me forget it. Every time somebody would come on the show, he goes, "Hey, Dubay made Stephen Wright laugh."
What's he doing now? Is he
PA?
around?
Oh, he's doing all right.
I know. I
Yeah,
listened
what
to
is
him
that
yesterday.
PA guy up to?
Stephen Wright. Is he
I
still
don't know.
out?
I haven't seen him
But
in
he's all over
years.
YouTube with his YouTube and
Oh, for
all
sure.
his appearances on Letterman and stuff. And he's still alive, just being the Art Garfunkel of stand-up
Or
comedy.
I like to think that Christopher Cross, because he kind of had that. That's my
Christopher-
world.
Yeah, he's a funny-looking dude too.
Well, he had the perm.
Did you
he had the
see-
guy perm.
Did you see he was on when Christopher? We're just about done here in the next minute, but Christopher Cross was on a late night talk show like when Anchorman 2 was coming out, and it was because he's one of his songs, like "Run Like the Wind," was part of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And Will Ferrell in Ron Burgundy costume and in full character was like performing the song with him and like basically mocking it. And I thought Christopher Cross was really legitimately getting pissed and sad that his career had come down to, he can't just perform a song on Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
He's got to put up with every time he delivers a line, Ron Burgundy's in the back going, "Oh yeah, baby, we're rocking now," and dancing around with this cheesy fur coat on or something. And it was just like Christopher Cross is like sitting there thinking, "God, what did I ever do? This is the worst ever." But that's going to do it. Thanks to Devil's Advocate for hosting us again, and we'll be back here again tomorrow. Don't forget tomorrow, doubleheader, 5 to 6. We're here live. Then at 7 o'clock, we're at Fan HQ with a very special Wild Wednesday where Blossom gets her first period. And Thomas Vanek.
Exciting.
Thomas Vanek
Very
appears on the show.
exciting.
And Thomas
We
Vanek.
have a
And Thomas
lady
Vanek,
amongst
just
us now.
throw
But
that
most
out there.
importantly, Thomas Vanek appears
Yeah.
on Wild Wednesday
That's awesome.
with Jason McGovern and Scott Schweitz and myself. Pat, thanks for coming. Pat Hammer.
Thank you for having
Good to
me.
see you.
Katie,
Pat.
welcome to the company, and I know
Thank
that
you.
you're probably going to run scared. And if this
No.
so, I'm Sean Bernard. I'm sorry. I don't know who should suck it today. Jeff, I should suck it.